As usual, we start the class from a pasuk from Mishlei, and then we go to the rest of the teachings of Rav Wolbe, Zecher Tzaddik V'Kadosh Livracha, about Shalom Bayit. So we are holding still in the first perek of Mishlei, and our pasuk this week. People, nobody lacks criticism, right? This is, our egos don't like musar and tochecha, but the only way a person actually grows is through, right? Through musar, through criticism. So that's what Shlomo Melech is telling us. And Shlomo Melech says, where are we? In Pasuk Kaf Daled, I guess. He says, Yan qarati vatema'enu, natiti yadi ve'en machshiv, vatifreu kol atzati vetochachti lo avitem. Shlomo Melech complains that, that people do not follow his musar. Right? And he says, the musar, the way to give musar, it's the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives. That it has to be done in a loving way and in a gradual way. Right? He says, it's very interesting. He says, Ya'an karati vatema'enu. Like, karati means I called out. Vatema'enu. In other words, the person comes and he gives musar verbally, and people don't listen. And they go even further. Then he says, Natiti yadi ve'en makshiv. Then you are out of my earshot. So then I'm trying with my hands even to motion to you, and still you don't listen. Wow, that's the Shema De'Arnakon. Thank you. So, and this is, you see, how do we see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives the musar gradually? We see by tzarat. Right? If a person would say Lashon Hara, the Torah says first, those spots would appear on the walls of his house. Now we don't have it, unfortunately. But if he would not get if he would not get the hint, then the tzarat would go on his furniture. If still he wouldn't do tshuva, it would come on his garments, and then ultimately on his body. So you see, there is a gradual process. But and you see, and it's somebody who has fallen asleep. First, maybe try to whisper to them to wake them up, but then gradually you have to make it more severe. If it doesn't help, so then maybe you have to shake them. It doesn't help, maybe you have to pour water. It doesn't help, and there's a fire out there. You want to, then turn over the bed, right? So, but you see, the point is that a person has to be open to musar. He has to be open that nobody is and we have spoken about this before, right? That that one of the reasons HaKadosh Baruch Hu has put us on planet Earth is to work on to refine our characteristics, midot. Gaon says in his Perush on Mishlei, he says, if not for Shvirat HaMidot, why are we here? If not for Shvirat HaMidot, if not for working on our characteristics and refining ourselves, so what's the purpose of us being here on planet Earth? And we know that we are here for Torah, mitzvot, working on our midot and withstanding nisyonot. And these are basically the three areas of our responsibilities coming to this being here on planet Earth. Right? It's to work on our midot, refining ourselves. And you see here, and Gaon says, you cannot really change people totally. What is realistic, it's refinement. Right, like the way we learn, the Gemara tells us. The Gemara tells us that that depending, you see the characteristics that we possess. We have two sources. Some of them we are born with, and some are learned. Right. So depending on the day of the week and the month and even the hour of the day that we are born with certain characteristics, certain tendencies. And those you cannot change. Whatever it's learned, you could unlearn. Whatever we pick up from their environment, growing up in a family, etc., the entire environment, those that are learned, it's easier to change. But there are certain things that, people that are, like the Gemara says, if somebody is born on Shabbat, the Gemara says it has to do with the blood, I think. But you see, then you could refine it to become a surgeon, to become a shochet and mohel, and not necessarily to be a murderer. Right? David HaMelech was born on Shabbat, so he used that for to fight the wars of Hakadosh Baruch Hu. But it's very important. I mean, I always in Shalom Bayit I tell people also, you cannot change a person. You cannot change a person from mikatze el katze, from one end to another. You could expect refinement. Like, here and there modifications, refinement, that's definitely, and this is the purpose of learning Musar. Musar has two, you could be effective in two areas. Behavior modification and not turning over people, and also whatever was learned, right, and it's not, we are not born, it's not our chemistry. Things that we picked up from the environment, so those could be really changed, right? With that introduction, we go to the very, very important, see this week it's Shivas Arba Tammuz, and we start fasting. Hopefully, Bezrat Hashem soon it's going to turn into festivals, as the Navi has promised. But we have to realize a lot of Gedulei Musar, a lot of they bring from Kabbalah also that really that these all what we are mourning about Bet HaMikdash nowadays, Bet HaMikdash is our household, right? And the same way that when the Bet HaMikdash was destroyed, the Midrash says that a voice told Nebuchadnezzar, Sancherib, whatever, told them that wheat that was turned into flour already, you are making it into flour. In other words, Bet HaMikdash was destroyed already before they came there. Why? Because the Bet HaMikdash from within us was destroyed. Sinat Chinam, etc. The same way for the Bet HaMikdash to be rebuilt, it's really, they say the ultimate war, it's the homes. If we have proper Shalom Bayit at home, if we build this little Bet HaMikdash, it's our households, so then Be'ezrat Hashem, Bayit HaShlishi, the third Bayit, is going to be rebuilt as well. So, in the previous chapters, we learned that men and women are different. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Ezer kenegdo. Men and women are different in all areas. And we have spoken about this in detail, and he tells us that we have to realize that also physically men and women are different, and it has, right, and those physical differences, like ladies get their period, right, and we know the Gemara tells us, our holy sources tell us that this affects the mood of ladies extremely, and men need to be aware of that. Rav Wolbe says, "Hachiluf ben zman hatahara leven yemei haveset." Right? He says, it really creates a big change in the moods of ladies. And you see here, the husband, he's the one that is supposed to be the stable one to go through, right, and to be helpful in those kind of circumstances. And he says, I mean, obviously, in an observant, couple, the observant couple. There's a lot of ramifications also. They cannot touch. They cannot, sleep on the same bed, etc., etc. And this is the time that she is very vulnerable emotionally, and she needs the most attention, more than other times. And here, obviously, halakha comes and makes it more difficult. And it's for the husband to be aware of that and to act accordingly. He says, physically, right, getting their period, it affects them, like in a certain heaviness, and it's the Gemara says that there is a poison that it goes into damanidut, and now science tells us that it brings a name, minotoxin, something like that, sounds very toxic. Minotoxin, it brings a name. I'm not a doctor, and this affects, right? This
radioactive, something should stay away.
המשפיע זמנית על גופה וגם על רוחה. It affects the body and her spirits and her moods. ידוע שבימי הווסת מביאה אישה פרחים לניבול. It says like if a lady, when she touches flowers, the flowers could wither, right? Because of this poison, so to speak. הרבה נשים עלולות בימים אלה להתרגז בקלות. Ladies tend to be short-tempered, right? When I was in Hebrew U in Israel, right? That was an Israeli, if you see if you would see somebody is in a bad mood, say, "Ma, yesh לך וסת?" Or you got your period. Students, male students to each other were talking like that, right? So it's known that what?
It's in English.
What? In English, the same thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Period?
What?
Are you on your rag?
ומצבי רוח שונים תוקפין אותן אז. And all kinds of moods attack them, right, during that period of the period. בימים אלה היא זקוקה ביותר לעידוד. Right, the husband has to be, he's the one that is, he has to put on his fix-it hat and try to be proactive, to be aware. לשימת לב ולהתחשבות. Right, to pay more attention, kosher attention. Right, when she's in there, you cannot even touch. But you see, you could show attention, not without touching, right? So he says, right, בזה חייב הבעל למצוא דרך לעודדה ולהרים מצב רוחה. To be encouraging, right? And this is one of the things that ladies, in getting married, they want a husband that is strong, that has a strong backbone to really, that's what she needs. Somebody to lean on, even though they could be very snappy towards their husband, more than anything else, more than anybody else. And it comes with the territory. It comes with the territory of being a husband, right? This is part of the all, right? We have that yoke that a person under the chuppah, you don't see, a lot of things happen under the chuppah that we don't see. We don't see that, a halo goes from the neshama of husband and that's the reason we use, and you don't see the yoke either. Under the chuppah, you feel it? My son just got married. He said he enjoyed the Sheva Brachot much more than the wedding itself. He was nervous. You're nervous, I guess, you get that yoke, but then, anyway.
I love to enjoy it.
So, fine. So this is how much, this is the amount that he dedicates to this awareness for husbands. I think it's very, very, very important, very fundamental. Being aware of, and it's not a fault. It comes with the territory. It's really the price of having children.
No, does it say at what point? Because in America there's this thing, PMS, premenstrual syndrome, which antidepressant is given as a PMS.
Maybe this is this toxic thing that he talks about. I really
But
don't know.
it says pre.
Oh, yeah?
You know what I'm saying? This is not at the time of it.
Fine.
It's pre. And does it say the time?
He doesn't, no. He's talking during probably that's the introduction to it.
And it's kind of a depression because depression
Yeah, but you see, but this is
works with it.
part of the same argument, right? Maybe there is a hakdama to it, right? There's an introduction. Now, then Rav Wolbe says we live in, he talks about 20th century. Now it's already 21st century. And he says we have to realize that it's a different world. And, you know, a lot of things that, you know, the way our parents or grandparents related to their wives, it's not valid anymore. And you see, for us, you know, also coming from Iran to America, it's a big, big change. It's a totally different environment. And it's even in the religious circles, there's no way that it does not affect the relationship, right? The whole thing about women's lib, etc., right? Definitely, it has affected our women. I'm talking about, you know, from Yerei Shamayim ladies. Definitely, the status of women has changed tremendously. I mean, the Torah always has instructed us, like, you know, that, you know, how a person, what kind of kavod and love, respect and love that the spouses have to have, you know, towards each other. But we have to be realistic that the role of the women has changed. See, it's very interesting. I think Rabbi David Cohen Shlita, he has a book on this, and he says that, you know, the closer we get to the Mashiach times, the more and more the curses of Adam HaRishon get diminished. Right? In any, it's very interesting. See, the Torah says after the sin, it says Betzar tel di banim, about, like, you know, the pain of giving birth and raising children for women, for, like, you know, making a parnasa, making a living, right, for men. All these are all curses that came after the sin. But as the time passes, all these curses, if we are getting close to Mashiach, become less and less and less. Now, you know, it's, you know, giving birth, it's not as painful and as like it was before, with epidural and this and that. Rahman al-Islam, there was a time that, you know, we see Rachel Imenu, she died at giving birth. And it was very common. It was very common that, you know, but Baruch Hashem, now it's very rare. Hodul Hashem Gitov Kirulam Chasto. Right. And even for men, you know, making a living, it's much, much easier compared to that. You know, that with your sweat, you should earn a living. Still, it's very difficult, but it's not. Probably there was no other generation that it was as easy as now, right? And also, he says that, you know, when it says how does it say v'hu yimshol bach, right? That, you know, the Torah says that Adam yimshol was ruling over his wife. That also has changed. It's been reversed, right? It's part of, it's already post, right? But this, yes, any comments on that?
Was that a curse?
For women, sure, no? It's not a curse?
Yes.
Who was he saying this to as a curse?
What?
Was he giving this to the women or the women?
This has been the rule all over the world. Right.
Saying initially when Hashem said this, he was directed towards the women?
It's humanity.
No,
Yes.
This particular curse was on women, right?
Yes.
Sure.
Right. That was part of the punishment of Chava.
Oh,
Yes. Just read the scripture, right?
Rabbi,
Still, you know, I'm dealing with it. You know, somebody brought some time ago a torn up ketubah. to my office. What happened? Right? He got angry, and this. I asked her, does this have such temper? She says, "Ye marde diye, marde injuriye." I mean, she's such a najib, like such a. This is like old-timers. It seems like she didn't move to America yet. No, I wrote another ketubah, Baruch Hashem. That's Yiddish Kayadim. Hopefully, but you see.
What else do we see that Hashem's decree decreases as time goes by? I mean,
I'll give you a few examples. He says, Rabbi David Cohen, he's one of the Gedolei Hador. Yeah, he has a whole book on this.
No, what else? I mean, this particular one, yes, I understand. But is it something that gradually fades out?
What I remember, I said, he talks about Bezat HaBecha Tuchal Lachem, he talks about Be'etzev Tel Dibanim, and he talks about the Huyim Sholbach, right? Maybe other,
No, I'm saying,
anyway,
any other parts of Torah you see that Hashem's decree becomes...
I don't know. So we have to realize, because of these changing circumstances, whatever the reason, whether it's humanity in general, or as we said, maybe these curses of Adam HaRishon diminishing, he doreshet yoter ma'asher b'mea kodemet. Women nowadays, they have different expectations than other generations. It's not anymore chash whatever. It's not right. He says u'mimela hi doreshet yoter ma'asher b'mea hakodemet. Our wives and our mothers, it's totally different generations. And a lot of people, you see, we grow up, we see the dynamics, the relationships that our parents had, and we want to duplicate that in our own lives, and it's a grave mistake. It's a big mistake, right? Because you see, there are no similarities. Everything has changed, and Baruch Hashem, you see, this is what the Zohar HaKadosh also says. The Zohar HaKadosh, before Mashiach comes, you are going to have this, that the status of women is going to be changed. We see it, right? So, מובן שהאישה היום דורשת מבעלה יותר ממה שהסבתא דרשה מהסבא. It's clear that a wife expects of her husband much more than the expectations that our grandmothers, right, had from our grandfathers, right? This is only for men. Right? Yoter simat lev, first of all, yoter simat lev, more attention. Attention. Right? Yoter nochiyut. And you see, when it comes to attention, we spoke about this before. But talking, speaking to our spouses, it's so important. See, I think maybe last week we spoke about this. See, girls, it's amazing. Tish'ar kabin, girls like to talk. They constantly talking to each other, texting, talking. Men are not like that. You see, it says, Asara kabin shel sicha yardu la'olam, 10 units of, let's say, of talk came to the world. So it says 9 of them got the ladies, and 1 the rest of the world. But they are part of the rest of the world also. So it's 9.5. So it's really 9.5 versus half.
It's less than.
Why?
They said there's 2 women for each man in population.
So then even more. I don't think that's true.
That's not.
But you see, I mean, it's 9, at least 9.5 out of 10, 95% of amount of talking was given to the ladies. And there's a reason for that. Right? There's a reason, definitely, because they are the ones that really, raise the boys and the girls. And you need to talk and talk. Men don't have the patience for it. Now, you see that they consider when the friend talks to them, that's love. right? And this is their chiyut. This gives them vitality that they talk to each other. They get married. Oh, my husband is supposed to love me. That means he's supposed to talk to me. Talking is love. So you see, and more than any other generation, there is a Gemara in Berachot that talks about the shalosh mishmarot, the 3 shifts of the night. Right? It says that that the night is divided into 3 shifts, and each shift, the Gemara says there is a certain I don't remember the details. The donkey, I think, makes noises, klavim. The 12 hours of the night, 3 shifts. The Gemara says, what is the sign for the last shift? Mishmara, the last Mishmara. Isha mesaperet im ba'ala. Right? Whoever learned Gemara Berachot, right? The sign for the last shift of the night is a woman, Isha mesaperet im ba'ala. Mepharshim say that the Gemara is not just talking about the night, it's talking about galut. Galut is night. And it's talking about 3 shifts of the galut. The last portion of the galut is now. This is right before the dawn, right? If you have 3 shifts, this is the last shift. What is the sign of the last shift? Isha mesaperet im ba'ala. A woman, now, it doesn't say Isha mesaperet leba'ala. Isha mesaperet leba'ala means she's just talking and he's listening. It doesn't say that. Im ba'ala means he has to participate. That makes it difficult. Right? Okay, fine. Ladies have this, and again, it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference what you talk to ladies, to your wife about. It does not. I told you the story. Talk to her about what the shopping Eilat market. It doesn't make a difference what you talk about. It's talking, and it's Isha mesaperet im ba'ala. Im ba'ala means you have to participate. It's not like you are doing your text or you're reading the paper or something and watching the TV and whatever. I'm listening. No, this is not. That's why it says im ba'ala. Together with her, right? You have to participate, to comment, it's show interest, because it's not. It's just showing, right? It's showing really love and caring, attention. You see, it brings here, right, from one of the letters, famous letters of Chazon Ish. Right, he says. The Torah says, "V'simachet ishto asher lakach." It's a Torah commandment. The Torah talks about Shana Rishona, the first year, but Chazon Ish, proves that it's not just the first year. Sometimes the first year of marriage could take decades. It says the Torah Kedusha says the first year of marriage that he would not go to the army, Naki lebeito. He was exempt from a lot of civil duties. And the Torah says, "V'simach et ishto asher lakach." There is an obligation for the husband. V'simach, what is v'simach? To make happy. To make happy his wife. Part of this this yoke, right? V'simach et ishto asher lakach. That's right there in the Torah. And he says, how do you do that? Laharot ahava v'keruv beribui sicha v'ritzui. How do you create the love and the simcha, the joy?
Conversation.
beribui sicha, conversation. شما ازدواج نکردی هنوز؟ خوشبال زنت. You don't need to come to the class.
حالا یه دونه شما باید واسه ما پیدا بکنید.
להראות אהבה וקירוב בריבוי שיחה וריצוי. ריבוי שיחה. Chazon Ish is saying that. ריבוי שיחה, talk to your wife. Right? So he says, and then he goes into this, like when he says, Al tarbe sichai ma'isha in Pirkei Avot, he says, כשלא צריך לריצוי מדבר. Over there he's talking about the lady, that some ladies don't need that. He says, Pirkei Avot, that says, Al tarbe, that says, Al tarbe. Al tarbe sichai ma'isha. It says, Al tarbe, not more than it's, tarbe is what, too much. In other words, it depends from a woman to woman. Some ladies don't need much. If she doesn't need it, so don't. But he says the rule. But most of them they do, and in most of the complaints about Shalom Bayit, he doesn't care about me. He doesn't. A woman wants to know, right? That she is number one in her husband's life. That's deep down what she wants in all areas. And one way that you show it is by talking. And he says it's very important. He said at home, the atmosphere should not be hukumat nizami, it's like a military thing, this and that, khoshk, dry. He says, right, it's the husband sets the tone. The husband sets the tone at home. He is the bus driver, right? So it shouldn't be chardat derech eretz, right? It shouldn't be like, this very disciplined, etiquette, etc. بعضی از they don't find it anymore. بعضی از مادر زنه ایرانی، من یه خانمی میشناسم، شوهرشم علام رفته چند ساله، آقای فلانی. آقای فلانی منظورش کیه؟ منظور شوهرش بود. هنوز آقای فلانی. So Chazon Ish says this is wrong. This should not be the attitude. He says, right, וצריך להתייחס בכייחוס יותר קרוב, right? So it should be בדיחות וקלות. It should be like, it should be like, jokes. It should be light atmosphere. Not like, dictatorship, like, some kind of military, boot camp, right? Kalut yoter ahuv, right? It has to be a loving atmosphere. It should be, Chazon Ish says, the same way that the right and left hand interact with each other. دوتا دست یک بدن. دست راست، دست چپ. دست هم دیگه رو کتک نمیزنه. کتک هم میزنه هیچ وقت، نه؟ آدم باز رو میزنه دست خودش، نه؟ آی میگه چون بیخوص ید یمین لسمال שאינו דבר חוצי אלא עצמי. It's not something outside. No, it's the same body. It's the same unit. אין לדבר בלשון נוכחות אלא בלשון נוכחי. He says again, not to say شما تو. به فارسی بفرمایید. No, it has to be first, چی بهش میگم به فارسی؟ خودمونی. Right.
Rabbi, what happened to respecting your wife, your husband more than yourself? We've learned that you're supposed to respect your wife.
Yes, that's right. No, but it means yes. Kavod, when it says mechabda, right? What Rambam says from the Gemara, the Torah says. The Gemara says, a person is supposed to love his spouse like himself. Umechabda yoter ma'atzmo. He has to give her respect more than himself. But that doesn't mean که بگه شما. It means the choice of words. کلمات رکیک حرف نزنه. Right? The choice of words صداشون بلند نکنه. Right? This is it says halachot. Choice, the vocabulary of the words that they use. خاص بخیر never اون افت کلام باید همیشه حفظ بشه no matter what. صداشو بلند نکنه. و بعدش کاوده هم اینم هست که از نظر خرج. When it comes what?
I always felt bad because we lost this tradition. It was a good tradition our grandparents had, but you're saying it wasn't such a great...
What they would say, Shoma, yani
yes. Yeah, my grandparents still say Shoma to each other. Yeah.
Your parents?
Grandparents.
What about parents?
No.
It's that's what the introduction was. The different generation, it's different.
The generation has changed, correct, yes.
Sure. this is we have to realize, it's, yes.
اونا وقتی بی احترامی هم به هم میکنن مثلا میگن شما اشتباه کردی غلط کردی با شما میگن یعنی it's not necessarily برای احترامی زبونشون نیست
مثل تو اسرائیل مثلا بعضی هستن نیست مراتی تلخیل عزازل right very respectful right my dear teacher go to whatever
و خیلی من دیدم دعوا میکنن ولی کلمه شما رو استفاده میکنن
راستی؟ تو دعوا؟
yes.
اوکی ربوتای زنگمون داره بخوره so میفرماین که چی it's so important to let his wife know where is he going, when is he coming back, right? Little things. ובדברי חיזוק לשמח לב, right? And it's so important every day, middle of the day, to make sure there is some phone call, there's some texting. Honey, how are you doing? How's your day coming along? This, that, it's small things. But these small things go a long way. Right? So, b'divrei chizuk l'sameach lev, right? So he says, now, in Alishur, same Rav Wolbe, he says, he learns it from Rambam. Rambam talks about how could a person come to love HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's a mitzvah. There's a mitzvah of Torah. Ve'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha b'chol levacho v'chol nafshecha. It's a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah to love HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So Rambam says, how do you come to love HaKadosh Baruch Hu? He says, look at the beautiful creation, what Hashem has created for you. Have a karatota for this, for this, for this. Through that, Rambam is beautiful Rambam. That when a person looks at the details of all what HaKadosh Baruch Hu every second gives us, he says that Hakarat Tov brings love. That's a rule. So Rav Wolbe says between husband and wife also, if there is no Hakarat Tov, there is no love. Without gratitude and appreciation, there is no love.
What's the meaning of
what?
What's the meaning of love? I mean, love is everywhere is different meaning. Love HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what is exactly?
It's a good question.
Ultimate love is something that happened 20 some years ago in La Cienega. When the shul was there, I always tell the story. Probably from my tapes and stuff, you know it. There was one of the guys in shul that he was going out with a girl, right? And as he was dating, and I used to talk to him this and that. One morning, I used to sit where I would see when people would come from the back stairs, I would see them right away. And I saw, he came, opened the door. You remember how the shul was? He came in the door, and he smiled, and he left. And he came back 10, 15 minutes later. So I said, Falani, what happened? He said, in the morning, I wanted to take my tefillin and come to shul. So he says, by mistake, I had gone to the fridge. Instead of taking the sandwich, I put my tefillin in the fridge. I took the sandwich, I came to shul instead of tefillin. He was so confused because he was in love, I guess. That's what to be in love means. Ultimate love is that you constantly think what HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You constantly you are, and I appreciate. And Rav Wolbe says from Rambam, it comes from appreciation. When you appreciate all the things that Hashem does for you, or in a marriage, what your spouse does for you. I mean, I just recently, I saw my wife was folding the laundry. I said, 35 years? How many tons of laundry you did for me? I mean, just little things, that, women do for their husbands, and the husbands do for their spouse. And vice versa. A lady has to realize all the, every day the husband goes, to work hard for what? For her. Basically, it's for the family, for her. And that appreciation is everything. Without appreciation, there is no love. And you see that Moshe Rabbeinu Alav Shalom has appreciation towards what? Towards water, towards sand, right? That's what all the makot didn't do, right? So you see, and we need to appreciate our spouses and all what they do for us. Without that, there is no love. So Be'ezrat Hashem will continue.